Hey guys, I'm James Roy. This is Courtney Ramirez, and
What's up?
we are the hosts of your favorite movie review podcast,
Yep.
The Noise Date Night Edition. And before we get into it, I think we have some explaining to do.
Mm.
So last week we had said we were going to review Queen Pins.
Yeah.
Upon further review, we are both AMC Stubs members, and
Not sponsored.
not sponsored.
No.
And not only
By
it was
choice.
no AMC theater showing that movie,
I know.
there was not a movie theater within 40 miles of us showing that movie.
No. Sad day.
Sad day. So we decided to watch The Protege instead,
Mm-hmm.
and so we will be conducting a review of that movie. All the while we did not have a second date night this week, so we will be
Because somebody was busy.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be doing our segment on small talk instead, which like we did in our first episode. And then at the end we will conclude and we will discuss what movie we'll be watching next week. So let's dive into it. Babe. What's up? I want to ask you like a super deep question,
Mm-hmm.
but like I don't know, I don't want to like
Catch me off guard.
yeah. So like you're a teacher.
Yes.
That's not a question.
No.
But what was some of the big inspiration for you to become a teacher?
I would have to say that growing up, I had really liked some of my elementary teachers, and I really felt like, I don't know, like they just kind of looked out for me and wanted the best for me. And so I used to always play like teacher growing up as a kid, and I would like save my old workbooks that weren't completed, and I'd love to practice my penmanship and my handwriting and things like that at home and just like run school. It was just always like a fun thing for me to do.
Yeah.
And so when I
So
got older, I just volunteered with kids at church and like missions and stuff. And then it was like just abundantly clear that I still liked working with kids.
but so initially your career path took a different turn when you got out of college. So
Yeah.
what steered you initially you were in LA,
Yeah.
but doing whatever it is you did there with film and stuff.
Whatever it was. What didn't I do
All the
in
stuff
LA?
that qualifies you to be our expert on this podcast.
Yeah, babe.
What was the big, moment where you decided?
I think for me, I had ended with like I was PAing for personal assisting for two different people. One was an actor, and one was like a former. I don't know. She kind of had did a bunch of stuff, but like producer, TV host. She had a lot of things on her resume, and so just like personal assisting for them and like learning from them. Totally don't regret it. I thought it was awesome. I learned so much, and I love them. Had good relationships, but I also was working like a third job, and I was editing at this little like boutique studio in Beverly Hills. And I think for me, I just was like, I don't really like editing, and I don't really like making graphics, and I don't really like doing what I'm doing, and I don't know if I could do that forever in 4 hours worth of traffic a day. 2 hours there, 2 hours back. And so I just got really into listening to podcasts at that time. But I just felt like I was really drained all the time, and I just felt like I wasn't really living my life with any like potential or with any like excitement. It was just more of like I'm doing this because I'm trying to make good connections. I'm trying to like pay my dues, in LA, like work your way up. But then I also felt like I was getting pigeonholed, which I always remember one of my professors in college at Vanguard. He would say like make sure you don't get pigeonholed, because that's what happens, and people stay in those jobs for like decades and years, because it's like you're making money
Yeah.
and you're paying the bills and you're doing what you were like, I don't know, studied for. But is it really something that you are passionate about? And I feel like with something like film, because it's like so rigorous, any job in that industry is just like blood, sweat, and tears. It's hard and it's long, and you often just don't get paid what you're worth right off the bat, like especially if you're just like nobody. And so you have to really want it and you have to really be passionate about it. And for me, it was just not really the types of films and videos I wanted to be editing and I mean, I just wasn't that interested in the projects. So, not they weren't bad. I just personally they weren't things that I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I
excited to
understand.
watch this. You know what I mean? So it was a little mundane and I just didn't feel like I had any passion for it. So, it just felt like it was time to leave.
Okay. I don't want to follow the rabbit hole too much, but I am curious to know. So you've been teaching for about 4 years now.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that decision with hindsight being 2020?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, there's aspects about the film industry that I totally miss. Like, I was on a set, not in 2020, in 2019, and it was so much fun. Or actually, was it 2020? Did I go last year?
I don't remember.
Probably not. I think it was the year before. It was the year before, 2019. So that was like the last time I was on the set, on a set, and yeah, it would have had to be before COVID. And it was for a pilot for a show. And it was so much fun, and I loved being back in it again. But I didn't really mesh well with some of the crew members. Just like my style of doing things was a little bit different from theirs, and they were a lot younger than me. And I'm not saying like age has something to do with it, but sometimes like the cultural differences of like younger versus older. Like I had always been on sets with people much, much older than me prior to this set. And so at this set, I think I was one of the oldest people on set, aside from like the actor that played the dad role and aside from like the makeup artist who had been doing this for decades. And so I felt like it was just really another like eye opener. Like, yeah, like it's important to like mesh well with the people on set. And that's kind of why like most crews kind of like stick together. And like once you find that crew, you kind of like go from project to project with them. And for me, it was a fun thing to do that summer. But also, again, like I didn't really like stick it out and wasn't really asked back the next day because they were like, I think we're good. And I still got paid for the work I did. And honestly, I was like totally fine not being asked back. I was like, okay, sweet. I don't have to drive up to Calabasas today. Awesome. And
Maybe
I
it's like a
still
little
got
bit of
paid. Awesome. And I still got the credit. Awesome.
maybe it's like a little bit of closure. Like, yeah, I made the right decision.
Yeah, I think I definitely still have a passion for film and I definitely have a passion for like writing and creating art and projects, but I just felt like I kind of want to do that on my own terms and kind of pick and choose who I'd want to work with. And so I feel like teaching kind of just gives me that avenue to have that time during summer to like be flexible and explore those options if I want to, um, all while having like a really meaningful job.
Okay, yeah. Um, that's great. I do love our small talks. Um, and I love letting the listeners get
Do
to know
you?
you better. Um, so I
Maybe
guess
we'll do your
we'll do me tomorrow or the next time.
probably next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I guess let's get into the Protege.
All right.
So this week we watched
The
the Protege.
Protege. Yep.
Um, it was
Maggie Q, Samuel L.
Maggie Q, yeah.
Jackson,
Uh, other big names like who
Michael
Michael
Keaton.
Keaton was in there, and
Mm-hmm.
then also there was one of the smaller roles was like a pretty big actor, but I can't remember.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that was, but a significant amount of star power.
No, yeah, it was good.
Movie is been out a little longer. I know we typically do movies that have been out shorter amounts of time. But I'll tell you, like we said last week, the box office is just horror movies or
Yeah.
really if you're not into that, then you don't
Or
have
Paw
anything to
Patrol.
watch. Yeah, so um but with that in mind, I mean, the movie grossed 7.9 million and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's run in the box office, which has been like about a month and a half now,
Mm.
something like that. Um I don't know what the budget was, but I can't
Yeah, I
imagine
can't find the budget anywhere, but
I
it
can't
doesn't seem
imagine
like it
that they
was
made
that
it
big.
back. No, I can't. They opened at like 2 point something,
Yeah, and then
2.1,
to like 1.7 the following weekend.
and
I
they
don't
did
know.
not do much better. I've never
No.
seen anyone with a world box office that's less than a
Mm.
million. But like
What was theirs?
the world box office was like 350,000.
Yeah.
So not well received anywhere. Um I thought it was pretty typical. I mean, I didn't think it was anything special. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
groundbreaking.
No.
It was all very predictable.
Yeah.
At points, the acting was very cheesy.
Mm.
Um,
Agreed.
Even Samuel L. Jackson, who is very much typecast into roles, like
Oh yeah,
he
seasoned
he
actor.
usually does a lot better job of like not coming across that way.
Yeah.
But even his role was like very okay, dude. We get it. This is like discount uh, Pulp Fiction, but like you know,
Mm-hmm. Like reprising his role.
yeah. So like from that perspective, I mean, me and Courtney were talking about it, and Courtney was really excited about the fact that he is reprising that role. But
Well, it's just like more nostalgic for me. Like I
yeah,
love Pulp Fiction. It's one of my favorite films of all times,
no,
and
yeah,
just like that, he's like a killer, but he's like kind of funny and sarcastic.
no, yeah, I
Is
agree.
literally like the same character, just like he aged and is like retired almost, and on the verge of
Dude,
like
he's like 70.
yeah, and he's like 70. He's just like old, and you're almost like, is he too old to be doing this? But he's still got it. I don't know.
I don't
Mixed
know.
feelings. If you didn't like Pulp Fiction or you've never seen it, you're gonna be like, that was kind of lame.
Yeah, I know. But either way, like from like I don't know. My perspective was that uh, I feel like the cinema was vital to this experiment or experience, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was so vital that you couldn't just catch it on a streaming service.
Yeah.
If you never saw this movie in your life, you probably wouldn't be missing out on anything.
No. No.
It's the kind of movie I'd expect in the next 5 years that you'd like flip on like FX or one of those
Mm-hmm.
channels and you'd see
Yeah.
it and
TNT.
you might like
Be on that
get
Saturday rotation.
you might get stuck in one spot long enough to catch it in bits
They'll
and
play like
pieces.
Independence Day and then the Protege. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like I didn't think it was all that. Um, but before we get any deeper into it, um, I guess we should issue the spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie's been in theaters long enough that honestly, if you haven't seen it, you're probably not going to. But if you'd like to try and see it and not get it spoiled, don't listen anymore. I never thought that I'd be on a
Fall back.
podcast and be like, "Hey, stop listening right now." But like, here it is. If you don't want any spoilers, which Courtney's about to deliver in full force, don't listen anymore.
I love spoiling movies for people.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding. I was shaking my head.
All right. With that in mind, Courtney, could you run us through the plot this week?
Sure.
All right.
The movie starts off with a scene in Vietnam, about 30 years ago, and it's Samuel L. Jackson's character. His name is Moody, so I'll just refer to him as Moody from now on. Moody seems to be like either finishing a job or showing up to a job. He's an assassin, so you kind of like get that vibe when he shows up with his gun pulled and everyone's dead. For me, again, another like Pulp Fiction-y type vibe. Vintage Vietnam, I would say post-war. So
I think it was like 91,
yeah,
90,
90s,
something like that.
yeah.
Early
So
90s.
not too long ago, for us, younger folk in our 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And he finds a little girl in the closet, and she's probably like, I don't know, 10, 12, around that age, and she's by herself. So obviously she's probably like a prisoner of those people that were there. You can kind of gather from that because there was no like mom or dad. It was just like these dead soldiers in this room, in this bunker type style. And so he ends up like taking her with him, and she just kind of goes with him, which you're obviously assuming that she, again, maybe kidnapped, maybe an orphan, because why else would a kid go with a stranger? And
Yeah.
so then it like flashes forward to where were they? Like Romania or something? I think they were in
pretty sure
Romania.
they were in
Yeah.
Britain. Like
No.
her plate said GB.
Yeah, but before that, she goes to Romania,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it's like this little like I don't know this high end family mob style. It seems like well connected, and they're like missing somebody from their crew, and they're just like, where is he? Where is he? And then all of a sudden, there's like a bounty on his head with someone calling and saying like, you need to transfer X amount of euros in order to like save his life, and it happens to be like the main guy of this crew. Again, this is all just like actiony. It's just showing you, which I love, scenes like that.
Like you're really trying to set the tone of
set the tone of like who she is as a character, Maggie Q's character. And so it ends up being her that's like, meeting this high end guy, and she ends up like killing him. And so that's kind of like the plot twist right there, is that it's a girl assassin, which you just don't really see that very often as like a lead. So I do respect that in that sense, like of picking a female and making it about her, and how she is like really good about what she does. And so that kind of just sets the tone of like, now she's in the game and she's an assassin and she works with Moody. And so then they kind of do this, this job that they were hired for, and they get paid. Yeah. Then you go to London, and that's kind of their home base is in London. So her like cover shop is a bookshop that she has, and she actually really likes it. She sells old vintage books. And Moody just lives in like this mansion, and just seems like he's kind of retired, but like kind of not.
Seems kind of like Kingsman style, like very
British.
Yeah,
totally that style. And so it just kind of shows their like daily life. She goes to work. She has like one employee. It's more of a boutique style, so it's not like this busy shop all the time. And then she kind of like hangs out at Moody's house because it seems to be like her family.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Michael Keaton comes. His character pops into the bookshop and makes a pass for her, and they kind of have this chemistry, and it's cute and it's playful and fun. And I mean, I guess I didn't really think Michael Keaton would be like a bad guy necessarily right off the bat, but I knew he would be in the rest of the movie. You just don't hire Michael Keaton for one scene.
No, yeah.
Yeah. And so, as Michael Keaton's leaving, she's preparing to go to Moody's house to like hang out and spend time with him because that's kind of like her dad in a sense. And so she goes to Moody's house, and all of a sudden, like, the maid's dead. There's a body in the bathtub, and it seems to be Moody. And so she just assumes, because the face is like blown off. And so so she just assumes that Moody is dead. Well, now here comes the rest of the story, is her avenging his death. And so she is bending over backwards to figure out, like, okay, what was Moody doing last to get himself killed? He leaves this flash drive for her in this like creative way. Like little details like that. Like if you do like these types of movies, like you'll kind of appreciate those scenes, I think. But yeah, I do agree that the dialogue felt a little flat. Yeah. And so she kind of just travels through different places trying to find his killer. So she has to go back to Vietnam, like where it all started. And she tracks down like this billionaire guy who controls a lot of things and trade and a lot of businesses out there. And, he's just like a powerful guy. And as she's like, questioning him, and the ways that she gets to him is very like savvy and very cool. I loved those scenes. But then like he ends up getting killed. So then you feel like you're at a dead end. So then she starts pursuing another lead that's connected to that guy. And then like, that's a dead end. And then all of a sudden Michael Keaton comes back. And
on her way out of that building, she gets captured.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She gets captured and she gets interrogated because someone turns on that businessman.
Yeah, he knew too much.
His like right-hand guy turns on him because it turns out that the businessman was just kind of like a front. Yeah. He was just kind of like the pawn. There's like this bigger scheme of people who are running these bad corporations, and and they just kind of like go through the line of like the black markets, drugs, guns, and sex trafficking. You know what I mean? They don't actually show their businesses, but they just state that. And so he captures her, and so he interrogates her, trying to figure out like who she is, what she wants. And bottom line, all she wants is to avenge Moody's death. That's literally it. And so, if you're a trained killer, I would assume that that's what you go for. I don't know. But it is like an intense scene, an intense thing to do, but like he saved her life. So in her mind, she needs to like pay that back in some way. So she's like, feels like she's indebted. I get that. Then Michael Keaton's character comes in while she's kidnapped, and it turns out he's connected to all of that, obviously. And so they kind of have like a little playful banter. And then, the other guy that took out the main guy in the businesses
doesn't really like Michael Keaton's
He doesn't like Michael Keaton's character, so he wants to get rid of him.
His golden boy.
Yeah, so Michael Keaton is like second in command, basically. Yeah. And the other guy is just like the muscle, in charge of the muscle, in charge of like the security and all that. And so he's like, I want to be second in command. So let's try and kill her so it looks bad on Michael Keaton, which to me, that's like kind of cheesy. But then you get like some good action scenes where it's like 5 guys against 1 girl. And obviously like she wins because she's the main character.
Yeah, for no other reason. Because I mean, to that point, she'd been waterboarded for like a week straight. Yeah. It looked like.
Yeah.
She was not in good shape.
No.
And suddenly she just had the energy to in this fight. It was
I mean, there's are like elements where they were like, okay, well, she kind of saved certain pieces of maybe like the food that they would bring in and certain elements to help her combat that and get out. And so she ends up like escaping. And then she ends up following that second lead, which was like this guy who had been killed by Moody years ago, his son, she assumes that the son took revenge on Moody for killing his dad, but it turns out the son is actually deaf and blind and in some type of like mental rehabilitation institution since he's been a kid, and he's still there. So she's like, okay, well, it's not the son, then who is trying to get revenge on Moody and for what? Because that was like the last name that they searched was the man that Moody apparently killed in the 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And so Michael Keaton's character is like, you give up yet? Like, this could be easy. You know, just give it up. You're going to die. You know, that whole exchange. And so finally they end up like meeting up. And they have this like date. And
from the preview where it's like, I wish we could meet under better circumstances.
Yeah. And
These are
so
the best
it is
circumstances
like
you'll ever
it
see
is
me
like
under.
cute, playful banter. Like you can sense the chemistry between them. Like I agree.
I was surprised because I feel like Michael Keaton was not way older than her. I just felt, I don't know, it was weird because I know that they're like close in age. Kind of.
Yeah. She just looked way younger.
Yeah.
Like she just looked, I don't know.
I
like
haven't looked up their ages,
too
but
good for Michael Keaton.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I don't know. Like in real life, like if Michael Keaton was like just a normal person, I don't think he could get someone like Maggie Q.
If this was real life, Michael Keaton would be relying on money and like charm.
Yeah, literally.
That's it.
And she's like gorgeous.
Their real bonding point
which I'll
was
get into
over.
my favorite points of the movie, which happened to be with her wardrobe. Anyways, and so they're on this date, cute, playful banter, whatever. And so they end up being like, are we going to kill each other? Are we just going to like hook up? And so of course they hook up. It wasn't very graphic at all. So if you're into like more conservative movies, there's nothing really like
they don't really give you
show anything. Yeah, which is good. You know, I don't really like
forwards.
Yeah, I don't really like all the details of that type of stuff. They just give implication that they do hook up, and then you know, after that they like leave, and she gets like. She goes to
one of the henchmen from the guy who wants to be second in command shoots her in the side alley.
Yeah.
And this is where we find out that Moody is not in fact dead.
Well, no, you're like skipping ahead. They end up killing that guy. They end up going to the same place and wanting to kill the same guy. And then they're leaving. And then, because they're like, oh, we got rid of him or whatever. So they kill the muscle guy because the muscle guy doesn't like either of them. He tried killing Michael Keaton's character.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
And he tries killing her. And so they just get rid of the muscle guy. So then the muscle guy is second in command, tries to go after them. And then that's when Moody comes out and saves her.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, Moody's alive still. Didn't see that one coming. Well, yeah, you did. You totally did. Right? Because... And so then Moody and Maggie Q scare. I don't even know her name. What was her name?
Anna.
Anna, thank you. They never say her name because she's like an assassin. So
I figured it was a fake name.
So it's like they don't ever say her name until like the very end, I feel like.
Yeah.
Anyways. And so Anna and Moody come up with this plan with their biker friends because apparently there's like a major bike club in Vietnam of like 60 people that just happen to be friends with him. Don't know how they're friends. I guess they made war references maybe.
Well, so they met earlier in the movie, and they were a group that she used to get in contact with the rich guy initially. That would turn out to be a
sorry,
front.
I forgot to mention that.
They do meet up. They hook up again at this scene though.
Yeah, so then they come back into play the biker group in Vietnam, which is all Americans, by the way. No Vietnamese people.
The head guy is from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. He plays like the one Terminator that's like trying to take out Arnold Schwarzenegger and Connor.
I didn't really watch the Terminator
movies. Was it Sarah Connor? Or
I'm a Matrix fan.
Yeah, I didn't really watch the Matrix.
Yeah, there you go.
I kind of watched Terminators.
Yeah, and so they come up with this plan because they're still trying to go after the person that did try to attempt to kill Moody because there is somebody who was Michael Keaton's boss that attempted to kill Moody. At this point, we don't know who his boss is. We've seen him in scenes, but we don't know like his name yet.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so then they're like, well, he's having this big, party at his house on his property, and we can get in, but he has like this panic room that once he's in. And so obviously, the whole deal. Dress up like the waiter and get in. Literally, that's what they do. Like, dress up like the waiter and get in.
But was that the plan? It was part of the plan.
It was part of the plan. But yeah, textbook style on how to get in on a heist. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and we're like watching.
Dressed up like the Help. And so, yeah. So we're watching and we see her. Okay, cool.
They really draw our attention in on this waitress stuff too. Like,
yeah.
They build it up.
Like they're like showing every single waitress. And since she is Vietnamese in the movie,
It's really easy for her to get in there.
It's easy for her to get in there because she's native to that country. And so, like, all the other servers are Vietnamese. And so, assuming, like, oh, like, she's blending in. It's not like a bunch of, like, white Americans, like, just, serving. It's all the Vietnamese people. So, anyways, and so Michael Keaton's just, like, on the lookout, classic style. And then he's giving a speech. The guy's giving a speech about, like, his charity work and all of his, philanthropy he's been doing, things like that. The guy who is, in fact, the one who tried to kill Moody, or had him tried to be killed. And so she, like, pulls out her gun, and the whole premise of the movie, like, up until that point was, like, she never misses, right? That's always her thing. She never misses. And so she goes to shoot him, clearly misses, like, big time. It's, like, so obvious. And so Michael Keaton, like, tackles her, and then she, like, gets away, and she's ended up getting shot in that process. And so now they're like,
I think the initial part was that she re-aggravated the wound from when she was shot right before Moody was revealed to be alive. So, because he just tackled her, she didn't get, like, there was no one else with a gun.
She got shot on her arm. He had the gun, and he shot it too.
Yeah, no, that happened in the pursuit.
Okay, well, either way, she gets shot, and she was already shot before. And so, he's following the blood trail. The blood just looks like it's obviously planted, which could have been her obviously planting it, not like production was.
Well, there was points where they showed her, like, in those spots, like, touching things.
Yeah, so she was like purposely, like, luring him out in a specific direction, right?
Yeah.
Obviously opposite probably to where the main guy was going. And so the main guy goes into his bunker, and, he's, like, watching on his cameras because he's got them everywhere, and he's watching, like, this Michael Keaton, like, chase of, like, trying to find that girl, trying to find Maggie Q. And then all of a sudden, like, his TV gets shot, and it's Moody. He's in the bunker.
Yeah.
And so he's like, Edward Hayes, you were supposed to be dead. So then it turns out that was the guy that he was supposed to be dead all those years ago. And it turns out that he had hired Moody to kill himself. And so he was going to do it. But then he ended up, like, killing somebody else in the process because there was, like, a different person in that car. And it wasn't him. Someone who was
inconsequential.
Yeah. And so, so Moody's like, well, I'm just here to finish the job.
Disposable.
And I think at this point is so cheesy. Like, the dialogue is just rough.
Well, the cheesiest part to me here is, like, he's like, how did you even get in here?
Yeah,
and it's like we used a camera to watch you type in the pin. And I'm like, these guys are, like, high-tech security agents, and they couldn't, like, use the basic.
He's an assassin. Like, he's been doing this for years. Obviously, he's already figured out how to get into places that he's.
Well, no, the way they showed it was, like, it was basic ATM etiquette. Like, this guy literally typed in the password. They show the video.
Well,
he's
I
like,
think
that
was a comedic throw. Like, they tried to be a little comedic at times, and
it just came across as like,
which brings me to the Pulp Fiction point, of, like, trying to be like Quentin Tarantino, where you're trying to mix, like, these dark, intense elements with some humor, and Quentin Tarantino does it so well. And I think
so much better than whoever did this.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I felt like they were trying to go for that vibe. You can't just hire Samuel L. Jackson and just make it happen. Like, that's a director's thing. So, anyways, you kind of probably know the end of the story. He was in there on purpose. He has a bomb, and he's like, I'm ready to die. It's my time, and I'm finishing the original job. While Michael Keaton finds Anna on the other side and was like, you totally didn't, you totally miss. You never miss. And she goes, well, obviously that was the plan. And then the big bomb happens, and, Samuel L. Jackson's character dies. That Edward guy dies. Again, it's not very gory, which if you're, like, don't like gore, you might actually like this type of movie, because sometimes these movies are super gory.
There was points where it was gory, but this was not one of them.
No. And so, yeah. So then Michael Keaton and Anna, like, end up, like, being launched from the blow up, and so she gets away, and so she texts him, like, meet me here. So this was probably, like, my favorite part of the movie, is when she goes back to her childhood place where she
was found
by Samuel L. Jackson. You get a little bit more of a backstory of, like, what happened to her. Pretty much it seems like soldiers from the Vietnamese, like, army, Vietnam army, come in and kind of just, like, ransack her village or her little town, and in the process kill her parents, kill her siblings, and end up just, like, keeping her for whatever reason. Maybe because she's, like, preteen, young, pretty. I don't know. It
kind of looked like they implied that guy saw something in her that he liked.
That he liked. And so he kept her in their, like, little, like, warehousey bunker where she was originally found by Samuel L. Jackson. and it's like all these soldiers in there, maybe like a group of 5 of them, I would say. And so there's this scene where he's like putting together his gun in front of her, and he's like, I don't know, drinking or smoking. I don't know what he's doing.
He's singing some song from
Somewhat
American radio.
intoxicated. Yeah, singing. They're just like having fun, and she's just like sitting there. I mean, she literally just saw her family get murdered in front of her eyes. And in that is a very gruesome and brutal murder. So I take that back. If you don't want to see gruesome and gore, don't watch this.
No, that's the scene.
Don't watch this movie. Yeah, I forgot about that scene. And so, she like memorizes how he puts together the gun, because he had like 2 of them on the table. And so he walks out for whatever reason, comes back, gun's gone. She did it like a record time, and then ends up just like getting rid of all the guys there. And then she cuts her hair and like hides in the closet. And then that's when Samuel L. Jackson comes in. So, and then it kind of shows how he like took her to America, how he got through the border how he got through the border to get out of Vietnam. Again, another Pulp Fiction-y type moment for me, anyways, like how he went about it, because he was like, okay,
end of the line, I guess.
End of the line, and then he turns back and ends all their lives. Yeah. So she texts Keaton the address, Michael Keaton, to come, and he comes, and it's just them 2, and he's like, this is gonna go like. She's just like, yeah. She pulls out the gun, and I don't even really remember their dialogue. It was very cheesy. Bottom line, it was like, only one of us can live, because we're always going to be hunting each other.
She says something like,
it doesn't have to be this way.
I can't live my life knowing that you're still
alive. Yeah. And it's like,
okay.
I didn't really get the strong desire that she hated him that much throughout this whole movie. So I was a little taken back by that.
They did hook up, which was like, okay.
They had this like playful banter, and he almost was like not trying to kill her specifically at times. Only because of his boss. But now that his boss is dead, I felt like he would kind of be like, oh, it's cool, like that you were the only reason.
Well, I feel like they tried to avoid falling into that thing where like someone on the inside falls for the girl that's trying to get them, and like becomes
Mr.
the
and
weakness.
Mrs. Smith.
It's like he kind of did, because he didn't completely take her out, but like I feel like they played it like, oh, he's into her, but he's still gonna try and do his job.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But like, which was like protecting his boss, but now his boss is dead, so I didn't understand like what his purpose was now.
Yeah.
Unless he was like going to assume that role of those companies. I don't know.
Well, she feels like some sort of sense of self-righteousness, because everyone that she kills like deserves to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so she understands her like badness in that role, but like she views him as a kind of person that she needs to kill.
Yeah.
Is that what I got out of it?
So they end up like dueling, and she just walks out of the building, which assumes that he died, and then it's over. Literally. And then it's fade to black.
There's no post-credit scenes, no nothing. That's the movie for you.
Nothing else.
What was like your favorite moment? You said that it had to do with the wardrobe of Maggie Q.
I loved her wardrobe. Literally made me want to jump to fall right away. Get all the trenches.
Let's go to Burlington and let's just
love the midi skirts. Pleated skirts. Oh my gosh, so cute. Turtlenecks, cute shoes. Her wardrobe and style in this movie was awesome. They need to be nominated for an Oscar. Wardrobe and styling.
With their pull on, I don't think they will be, but
probably not. But I thought that was the best part. I did like how the music selection was pretty good. I think that helped with the pacing of the film, and it kept a good pace, even though the dialogue was very cheesy. And then there were some fight scenes that I thought were executed pretty well.
Okay.
Like, I think that at one point she like flips the guy and they land like on this glass table, and like the whole glass falls through. I thought that was an awesome shot.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so too.
When she does kill the guys when she's in the interrogation room, I think that's executed well. It is a little bit over the top, but
I heard she learned her stunt work from Jackie Chan.
Oh, interesting.
So like there's an article where she discusses working with Jackie Chan to
nice.
Hone the art of being a stunt person.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, she did pretty good on her stunts. Like, did she do them herself?
I am almost certain.
That part is like really cool to hear, because if she did do it herself, then kudos to her. Like, she deserves some type of an award for that.
Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate that the dialogue felt really flat and very unnatural, and the plot itself wasn't necessarily like life-changing or super intricate, but.
Well, like I said, I didn't think that we would have missed out on anything if we didn't see this movie.
No.
I felt like it fell into very stereotypical. It made the movie it intended to make.
Yeah.
Just with a female lead, which is typical nowadays. I think The most recent movie I can see in memory that was like kind of a similar thing where they like, but a little better was Bombshell or Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron.
I didn't see that.
I didn't
I know
see
what
it.
you're talking about.
I didn't see it either, so that's why I'm not trying to like give a strong opinion on it. But
Mhm.
like what I got from the previews of both movies was like, this is, hey, back 30 years ago this would have been a man, but now it's a woman, and she's like really cool, and she's just like the
she's
coolest.
like really pretty, and she has awesome
but
style.
she'll
does
kick
it
you
so, like,
straight up.
gracefully. Yeah.
She'll knock you out.
Yeah.
And so, I felt like it was executed as well as it could be with the way the script was written. I mean, I didn't. Like I said, I thought it came
Yeah.
across as really cheesy at moments, and there's not even big name
I gotta
actors could
see
say
like
that.
who made this
My
film.
my only positive
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective was I felt like the way that Michael Keaton and Maggie Q's characters were written to interact with each other
Yeah.
made the storyline make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was written really well from that
Mhm.
perspective, but overall, a lot of the characters were just shadows of like stereotypes and typecasts that happen in these movies.
Do you want to know who the director was?
Who is the
and
director?
what else he did? Martin Campbell.
And what else did he do?
The Green Lantern.
Okay, well, we know all we need to know about this.
He also did Casino Royale, though.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
he redeemed himself, but this didn't like boost him up. This was very neutral ground.
And then the writer, makes sense. He wrote Equalizer too, so that makes sense. It was kind of Equalizer status as far as like the mindset.
Equalizer was, I feel like Equalizer was so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because Denzel though.
Maybe
he might have had some pull in like the dialogue and stuff, but
well, Denzel's like awesome. So yeah, I would figure, but
then he also wrote The Expendables, which to me that's just so cheesy. So
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
I guess it is a mix of it. Equalizer and Expendables.
I feel like we've talked about this movie a good bit.
Yeah, we're good.
And I feel like we have
Should we
strong.
go into the ratings?
Yeah, I feel like we should get into the ratings. So, would you like to give us the, what the public thinks before
Yeah,
we?
public wasn't a huge fan. I mean, the IMDb users, there was only 9,000 people that rated, which is not a big polling. And it was 6.1. Again, I would feel like people who just like watching assassination movies or heist movies or, things like that.
If this
it's
was
like,
their style,
okay.
they watched
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
they rated it.
And they were like, it's okay. Yeah, it's not
kind of like
great.
how I feel about superhero movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Critics, no, nobody liked it. 48, terrible. Tons of
was
reds.
it in the yellow
like
or
someone
was
even
in the
got
red?
like it was in the low yellow, but like tons of reds. Like they got a 20 on one of them. The highest one was a 75, and only because they liked Maggie Q. And I agree, she did do good.
Before we rate it, how do you think it compared to? So I think so far the worst movie that we watched, ratings wise and just in general, was probably Reminiscence. How do you think it compared to that? Now, fun fact: Reminiscence
was like a 5.
Reminiscence was outdone at the box office by Paw Patrol, which I've never heard of a movie doing that horrible. But I mean, I guess it was just a bad weekend to drop that movie. Which one did
been cooped up for a year and a half, and
which one did you like better?
Yeah. I definitely like Protege better, but I like that style of films better.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I thought and since it was shorter, it definitely wasn't like too long. It would have been worse if it was longer.
Oh yeah, it was like an hour and 50 minutes.
Yeah, which is great for like
credits.
an action film.
So yeah, no, solid.
Yeah, so I felt like we were literally in the theater for maybe an hour and a half, right? Hour 35.
I agree.
Which is like perfect. Reminiscence, too long. Drag out, too long. Yeah, I just don't want to waste that much time in my life. So.
No, yeah, I think they made good use of their time, which was a big positive. But
what did we give Reminiscence?
I think I gave it a 4 and you gave it a 3.5.
Okay, yeah.
Or because I wanted it to be good.
Yeah, and we're out of like a 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1 to 7, ladies first.
Mm.
What did you think of the Protege?
I would say 4.5 because I do like some of the action scenes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stick with 4. I mean, I'll rate it on par with Reminiscence.
Mm.
I do feel like it slightly edges Reminiscence, but there's not really a way to express that score. I felt like overall there was points that were like cheesy, like I said, but in general, I didn't think it was like unwatchable.
No, I didn't feel like we should leave, and people like were genuinely laughing in the movie theater.
No, yeah,
there was some good chuckles. So
there was. Yeah. There's been other movies we've watched where I chuckled and no one else in the theater.
And there's been movies like
funny.
in Reminiscence where people literally got up and left and didn't come back.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so we I feel like we had fun reviewing this movie. This is the first movie that we've rated. We didn't rate it super high, but I feel like this podcast is gonna have a longer run time. It was fun to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I guess so. Next week, in the interest of not saying the wrong movie again for what we're gonna review, we're between 2 movies right now. which is the Clint Eastwood's Cry Macho, and then Cop Shop, which is a Gerard Butler shoot 'em up kind of thing. And so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've watched a couple of Clint Eastwood bombs, and I think he's done some really good ones. So I don't know how to feel going into this one. The preview seemed kind of cheesy. Um, it seems like it's gonna go for those humorous moments. The question is it gonna stick the landing? As far as Cop Shop goes, that preview looked pretty, like, I don't know. I feel like it was gonna fit the mold of the type of movie it was trying to make. What kind of like Protege did, where it's just a matter of, is it going to do it well, because it's going to do it pretty much the same way that everyone else has done that kind of movie. So, yeah. Well, how do you feel? Like, it's your choice. You're choosing this week. So
Indifferent.
Indifferent. Yeah. So
I'm a Gerard Butler fan by nature.
So we'll probably see that one, but we also might see.
But
Cry
all the
Macho.
buzz around Cry Macho and I don't know, just Clint Eastwood's resilience to not retire is one to witness.
You feeling lucky, punk?
Trouble with the curve. Get off my lawn. We'll see. I don't know.
Oh no, but anyways, thanks for listening to us talk about this movie.
Hopefully we sounded more exciting today.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I felt like it was fun. I had fun recording with you, babe, as I always do.
Cool.
I hope that y'all had as much fun hearing it as we did producing it. And like, comment, subscribe. I have been James Roy. This has been my wife, Courtney Ramirez. And this has been the Noise Date Night edition.